Ever watched a power-tripping landlord lose everything? Years ago, I rented a duplex from a very nice owner. He was honest and reasonable. I put a healthy security deposit down and moved in. Unfortunately, he was not my day-to-day contact. That was the delightful and charming Giselle. She was the on-site landlord. I found out later that she was a tenant whom the owner had arranged with. In return for cutting her rent in half, a sweet gig, she collected and deposited the rental checks, arranged repairs, and handled any other day-to-day things. The neighborhood had about 5 duplexes owned by this man. Giselle hated me from day one. And what's more, she lived in the other half of the duplex. You know all the nightmare petty landlord stuff you see on this sub? Giselle ticked off all the boxes. HOA style. Karen obsessed with the rules. Yelled at my friends for parking an inch over on her side of the duplex. My phone or doorbell rang if my place wasn't stone quiet a minute after quiet time. Rental checks I dropped in the same mail slot I always did somehow got lost. Appliances and things not fixed in anything resembling a timely manner, etc., etc. It was more annoying than awful. I told myself I could live with it, as I was going to be moving closer to my job after my lease ran out. Later, I found out why she hates me. She had wanted a friend of hers to move into the duplex I got, but the owner said no because her credit check was awful, and mine was sparkling. So she just wanted to make my life miserable out of pure spite. As the end of the lease drew closer, I noticed my water heater was leaking. I dried the floor around it and then put some towels down. Then I emailed Giselle. I had wised up and started a digital trail by then. No response. A week later, I re-forwarded the email with a friendly dot. You may have missed this. This could be a real problem. No response. Another email with, I had a friend who was a plumber look at it and he recommended immediately. Finally, she responded with, I will look into it, and nothing else. She was just trying to run the clock out on me. It had been about a month now, and I was just a few weeks away from moving out. I saw Giselle watering her flowers and approached her and mentioned it. She blew me off but finished the convo with a threat. I hope you're keeping it clean around there. I'm a stickler when it comes to the final inspection. If you want to get any of your deposit back, you better be ready to pass a white glove inspection. Okay then, that's how we're going to play it? Fine. I was trying to figure out how I would get petty revenge. About a week later, right before my last rent check was due, I happened to see the owner in the neighborhood. Giselle was nowhere to be found, and that's when it struck me how I could make all this work. I went out to say hello and tell him thanks for renting to me, that I appreciated that. He was very friendly, said he was sorry I was leaving, etc. And if I needed anything, to let him know. Checkmate. I asked him if he had a few minutes to come in and do the security deposit inspection. He said sure, and we went to my place together. As we were walking around looking at things, he was all positive. Yep, looks great. Yep, no issues there. Then we came to the water heater. I paused dramatically and gravely said, I hope we can come to some kind of understanding about the floor around the water heater. I opened the closet doors and showed him. I told him what I'd been doing to fight the leak. I pulled up the sopping wet towels I had put down the night before, and I told him I had experience with mold and that it was nasty stuff. He got quiet and said, have you told Giselle about this? Why yes, I did. And here are copies of the emails I sent to her. He read them and then noticed I had kept them in a file folder. He looked at me and said, are there other things that haven't been fixed? I showed him a few other emails I had collected. He got beet red in the face and said, okay, I think with what I have seen, I'm fine with releasing your full security deposit. In that moment, it struck me. I had one more rent check due, $750. How about instead of me writing you a check for $750 and you writing me a check for $500, I just write you a check for $250 and call it even? He shrugged and said, sure. He signed the paperwork and then left. A few days later, I dropped my check for $250 in the mail slot. Later that evening, Giselle pounded on my door, foaming at the mouth about how I didn't write a full check. She can get me evicted if I don't write a check for the full amount right freaking now. I explained, conveniently omitting that the owner had done the inspection, that $750 less my security deposit of $500 was the $250. Giselle's eyes widened as her brain tried to comprehend what I had said. She nearly exploded, yelling at me about, that's not how things are done, and you have to obey the rules like everyone else, and she has final say because she does the inspections. Friends, she literally had spittle flying out of her mouth. She was so enraged. I calmly told her that the owner had done the inspection and signed off on the payment arrangement, and told her to talk to him, and to get off my porch and quit bothering me. And I very slowly closed the door on her. Again, her brain froze, and she went into lockdown trying to process what I had just said. That was an image I'll remember forever. Before I moved out, the owner came by to ask if he could come in and fix the water heater for the next tenant. I said sure. As he was working, we talked a little, and he mentioned that his daughter was moving into my place, and that she was going to take over the on-site landlord duties. I asked about Giselle. The owner simply said she's going to be moving out. She decided she couldn't afford to pay the full rent anymore.